The snow fell heavy that night, blanketing the small town of Cedar Grove in silence. Streetlights flickered, the cold wind howled, and most families were tucked away in warmth, safe together. But for James Carter, warmth was a luxury he could barely afford. A struggling single father, James had spent the last 4 years barely scraping by, raising his 7-year-old son, Luke, after his wife had tragically passed away. He worked 2 jobs, janitor by day, gas station clerk by night, and still came home to cold dinners and colder bills. But no matter how hard it got, James never let Luke see him break. He had one mission: give his boy a better life. But on that fateful winter night, as James drove home after his shift, his tired eyes caught a glimpse of something or someone curled up near the entrance of an abandoned bakery, a figure shivering alone in the snow. He almost drove past. Almost. James pulled over, the old pickup truck groaning to a stop. The wind slapped his face as he stepped out, and his boots crunched the snow beneath him. "Hey, are you all right?" he called out. The figure flinched. A teenage girl, no older than 17, turned to him. Her face was red from the cold, her lips trembling. She clutched a thin coat around her, but what struck James the most was the unmistakable curve of her belly. She was pregnant. I, I'm fine," she stammered, clearly terrified. "Please, I don't want any trouble." James felt a pang in his chest. She reminded him of someone. His wife, maybe. The same scared, stubborn look she wore when they'd first met. "You'll freeze out here," he said gently. "Come on, I've got some soup at home. You don't have to say anything, just warm up." She hesitated, eyes darting to the empty street, calculating if she could run. But her body betrayed her. She was too weak. She nodded. Her name was Emily. She didn't say much that night, just sat quietly at James's small kitchen table, sipping hot soup while Luke, half asleep, clung to his dad's leg. James gave her the couch and the spare blanket. She cried silently as she lay down, thinking no one could hear. But James did. Over the next few days, James didn't ask too many questions. He saw the fear in her eyes, the shame, the scars that didn't need explaining. She had no one, no family, no support, just a baby on the way and nowhere to go. "Stay as long as you need," James told her one morning, placing a folded sweater on the couch. "You're safe here." And for the first time, Emily smiled. As weeks turned into months, Emily slowly became part of their tiny, struggling world. She helped around the house, cooked meals, walked Luke to school when James was working double shifts. Luke adored her, called her M. There were hard days, plenty of them. James had to pawn his wedding ring to afford groceries once. Emily offered to leave every time things got tight, but James wouldn't hear it. "You and that baby, you're family now," he said. In March, during a late-night thunderstorm, Emily went into labor. James rushed her to the hospital in his beat-up truck, hands trembling, tires slipping on the wet road. He held her hand through every scream, every cry, just like he had done years ago with his wife. And when the baby finally arrived, a little girl with lungs louder than a siren, James felt something crack open in his heart. Emily named her Hope. Years later, time passed in quiet, beautiful chaos. Emily stayed, finished her GED, got a part-time job at the local library. James taught her how to drive. She, in turn, made him laugh again. Real, gut-deep laughter that he hadn't felt since before his wife died. Hope grew up fast. She had James's stubbornness, Emily's smile, and Luke's sense of adventure. They were an unconventional family, but a family nonetheless. Then came the phone call. James was diagnosed with a rare form of heart disease. The prognosis was bleak. 2 years, maybe less. The man who had carried so many burdens for others was now running out of time. He didn't tell Emily right away, didn't want to burden her, but she found the hospital papers one night while cleaning. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, tears brimming. "I didn't want you to worry," James replied weakly. "You took me in when no one else would. You saved me. Don't you dare think you're alone now." From that day on, Emily became his rock. She scheduled appointments, drove him to every specialist in the state, researched treatments late into the night, took on extra hours. Luke, now a teenager, stepped up too, becoming the man of the house in his father's shadow. But time was cruel. James's condition worsened. He grew thinner. weaker. One snowy evening, eerily similar to the night they first met, Emily came rushing home, Hope skipping beside her, holding a letter. It was from a prestigious research hospital. Emily had written to them months ago, sharing James's case, pleading for help. They were offering a spot in a clinical trial, one that had shown promising results. James blinked at the letter, barely able to speak. "You did this?" he asked, voice hoarse. Emily nodded. "We're not giving up on you, not now, not ever." The treatments were long, painful, but slowly, surely, James began to recover. The doctors called it unexpected, a rare response, a miracle. But James knew better. The real miracle wasn't the treatment. It was the pregnant teen he'd found in the snow. The girl who became his daughter in everything but name. Years later, at Luke's wedding, James stood tall and proud, gray in his beard but strength in his eyes. Hope was now a beautiful young woman, dancing joyfully across the reception hall. Emily stood beside James, elegant, graceful, her eyes filled with quiet gratitude. "Funny, isn't it?" James whispered to her, watching Hope laugh. "You came to me broken, and you ended up fixing me." Emily squeezed his hand. "Number you saved me first." They stood there, a family forged not by blood but by love, by sacrifice, by the kind of miracles that come disguised as burdens. And as the music played and laughter filled the room, James looked around and realized this wasn't just a happy ending, it was a new beginning. Moral. Sometimes the people we save end up saving us right back. All it takes is a little kindness, a little courage, and the willingness to open your door when the world tells you to keep it shut. Because miracles aren't always born. Sometimes they're found on a cold winter night, shivering in the dark, waiting for someone to care.